At the heart of a good GIS is great data, but finding authoritative data can be challenging. Thankfully, Esri has created a library of geographic content from around the world. From boundaries to basemaps and everything in between, the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the world provides data layers, maps, and apps that are ready to use.
To give us a tour of all the data you can discover in the ArcGIS Living Atlas, we welcome our tour guide, Malena McCrossan. She is the data and content curator for the Living Atlas at Esri Canada. Malena, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here with us, and I'm ready to learn a lot from you, as I know this is something that I don't personally know a lot about. So hopefully we can get some more understanding today, and maybe you could start us off by giving us a little bit of an overview about what the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the world is and how it fits into the broader ArcGIS system.
Yeah, for sure. So Mark kind of hit the main points right off the bat.
Sorry.
No worries. That's great. So the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the World is the foremost collection of geographic information from around the world. But at its core, it really is a tool that helps build community by connecting individuals and organizations with the spatial content that they need for their everyday workflows. So the Living Atlas is ever evolving repository essentially of different maps, apps, data layers curated from the GIS global community. So these are items that are already available within ArcGIS Online, but they've been nominated and then accepted into the Living Atlas. And the best part about the Living Atlas is that it is built into the ArcGIS platform. So you can search and bring in content right from the Living Atlas, whether you're working within Map Viewer on ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Pro or any other apps such as ArcGIS Dashboards or Experience Builder.
Yeah, I use the Living Atlas data all the time, and it's so great how easy it is to be able to get to that data through the map viewer or through ArcGIS Pro. So I'm sure a lot of organizations and individuals want to try to leverage this. So how can they best use the Living Atlas for their projects?
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that every GIS professional knows that the most time consuming part of your project is either finding that really good authoritative data or cleaning that data.
Yeah.
And because all of the content in the Living Atlas is curated, it's curated to ensure that it meets a high level standard. So you can trust that what you find within the Living Atlas is not only authoritative, but it also is well documented and maintained. So traditionally, you would need to source your data, download that data, process and clean up that data, and then you could finally start your work. But having the Living Atlas accessible throughout the ArcGIS platform really makes it easy for users to quickly pull that data that they need right away into their already existing workflows. And what's great is your organization can not only leverage what's in the Living Atlas, but you can also nominate your own content and make it significantly easier for users of the GIS community to access your content and easily use it within their workflows as well.
Wow, sounds great. I know definitely finding data, cleaning data takes forever. So it's great to have a tool just to make that a little bit easier and start your projects off on the right foot. I know there's a lot of content in the Living Atlas, but could you tell us a little bit more about what types of data and maps are available? Maybe you can highlight some of the ones that you like best, some examples that are pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. So I have quite a few favorites, but I will narrow it down. So there is a wide range of content with the Living Atlas coming from both Esri and the GIS community. So whether or not that's those ready to use maps that you can just plug into your own dashboard or your own application, or whether that's imagery or data layers, there's also a ton of different story maps, dashboards, and apps that you can use as also inspiration for your own work, which is really cool. And I think the newest addition to the Living Atlas is one of the coolest things that has been added in the last couple of years, and that's tools. So this is where you can find deep learning packages here that can help you with things such as models that will help extract building footprints or to classify trees from high resolution imagery. So you can just download that model and quickly use that. So there's also a bunch of really unique map styles that you can download and use within your own maps. But I think in terms of data layers, one of the most beneficial things within the Living Atlas is the live feed services. So these are layers that either Esri Inc. or Esri Canada have created, and they are updated to reflect live data updates. So, as an example, climate change, we all know, is a really big topic right now, especially in the GIS community. And this has created a need for up to date authoritative data around topics like natural disasters or weather related events. And Esri Canada has created quite a few live feed services, such as the Canadian Live Weather Alerts, Active Wildfires in Canada, and the Wildfire Smoke Forecast to help address those needs. And we also know that these weather related events impact other areas, such as planning or transportation. So we're actually currently rolling out some new live feed services for each province, showing road closures, accidents, and road conditions using 511 data. So right now, the provinces that are up and running and live are Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. All of their 511 live feeds are up and running, and all the rest of the provinces are to come by the end of the year.
I had no idea. That is so cool. The 501 data is available through the Living Atlas. That's amazing.
Yes.
I gotta definitely take advantage of that. And I didn't know about the tools part either. Be able
Yeah,
to
it's one of
find deep
those
learning tools. It's amazing.
yeah, one of those new things that not a lot of people know about. So, like to highlight that as well.
Oh, that's the best. All right. So you mentioned a little bit earlier about maybe an organization wants to nominate their own data. So are there opportunities for users to be able to contribute their own data to the Living Atlas?
Yes. So, like I mentioned, the Living Atlas is really about building community. So, you nominating your work to the Living Atlas is a big part of that building community process. So, if you already have content that you are sharing publicly on ArcGIS Online, contributing it to the Living Atlas just exposes it in a different way to a large GIS community. So, having that Living Atlas badge on your content lends also credibility as it undergoes a curation process. So, this means your content does need to meet certain requirements before it is accepted into Living Atlas. So, those are things such as making sure your data is authoritative and it's well documented, whether that's sharing, any workflows you did to create the data, the update frequency, having those kind of mentioned in the item description, as well as any kind of pop-ups that you use within your maps, making sure there's no abbreviations or aliases to ensure that anyone who's viewing or using your content can easily understand the content itself. And the nomination process is actually very quick. So you simply log into your ArcGIS Online account on the Living Atlas website. There's a tab that says Contribute. You click there, you'll see all of your items come up, and you simply just choose which ones you like to nominate. And that's it. Very simple, very easy.
Yeah, it sounds pretty easy. Hopefully, some of our listeners will start contributing some more of their own data to the Living Atlas. It'd be really great to see. But you've covered a lot of stuff with us today, and I'm sure that there's even more things that people need to know about the Living Atlas or things you just want to highlight so they remember as a part of our conversation going forward. We always have to ask it, but we're just wondering, what are your 3 key takeaways for our audience today to know about the Living Atlas of the world?
Yeah, so I think the Living Atlas is really the hidden gem of the ArcGIS platform. And I find a lot of users are either not unaware that it exists or they're not really sure the full capabilities of what the Living Atlas can do in helping them with their workflows. So I really encourage everyone to take a peek around the Living Atlas, see what is available, and really take advantage of that great content that is available for you to use. But what's the best part is that you don't have to worry about maintaining it and you don't have to worry about storing that data either. That data is there easily for you to use. And I also really want to encourage everyone to consider nominating their content. Like I keep mentioning that it is a tool to build community and connect GIS users. So there are so many organizations out there producing really great data and really great apps and sharing that work through ArcGIS Online or their own hub sites, which is great. But filtering through the millions of content items on ArcGIS Online for a user is really hard to find maybe that really great content that you have. So I encourage you to nominate your content to Living Atlas so that we can highlight your great work and we can also make it a lot easier for others to find and use your really great data and apps as well.
Absolutely, 100%. So hopefully a lot of people out there have their great data and want to be able to share it to the Living Atlas. This is a great opportunity. And you're absolutely right. I love how you frame this as a hidden gem. It really is incredible the amount of data that you can find at the Living Atlas. So hopefully this conversation sparks some interest and hopefully our listeners will be able to take advantage of it. Malena, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for introducing us to the Living Atlas, and thank you for your time. And hopefully, we could do this again down the road.
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. That was Malena McCrossan. She is Esri Canada's Living Atlas curator with the geospatial infrastructure team, and she joined us from Toronto.